Clearing and healing your heart. So if you are feeling burdened by guilt, shame, or blame, I call them the toxic triplets, please come visit us. We are now a nonprofit, which means we can support you to the degree that you are able to give. You're not going to be turned away because you don't have the financing in order to receive the support that you need. But if you're doing well, please be generous because we need to keep going.
So you mentioned to me that you're not for profit. So how did that come about?
It was really a decision after COVID. I started looking around and saying, this is not the same world we used to live in. And I had always been doing a lot, giving a lot of sessions away for no charge because it felt right to me. But I could see that we had entered a new period of trauma. And yet, the finances that might have been available to pay for that care and recovery prior to COVID were now rapidly being eaten up. So I knew I needed to find another way to serve. And it couldn't just be, well, if you have the money. It had to be something where I said, all are welcome here. If you are willing to do the work, the heart work, we can help you move from victim to victorious. And then you help us to the degree that you are able.
I was watching the news today, actually, now that you mentioned that, and I've seen there's a lot of people who are suffering from trying to turn their lives around. Like here in Canada, like crime seems to be on the rise. People are struggling. People are trying to figure it out. They don't know where they're going to find their own victory from, right? And when you mentioned going from victim to victor, what are some of the ways that maybe we can determine how we're going to do that? Because I'm guessing everyone is different in their own journey, right?
Absolutely. And it's really quite dependent on your belief system. It doesn't matter how you were raised, it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, how old you are, or any of these extenuating circumstances, as much as it matters what you believe about those circumstances. So if you believe it is impossible for you to move any further than where you are currently, you will find a way to keep going in the same circle. Conversely, if you believe that there is someone that's going to help you, or some resource that will help you, or some way for you to move forward, you will be open to receiving information about that support. So, the first thing I want you to do is take a look and say, what am I believing about this situation? And then do the work to let go of all of the limitations around it. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I'm not old enough. I'm too old. Whatever it is that you are telling yourself has to be true about the situation is just you projecting your belief. Every situation is fluid because every situation is comprised of energy. It isn't set in stone. It isn't going to be the same way for the next 1,000 years. Everything is fluid if you allow it to be so. So I want you to approach this and say, okay, it's just energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's already here for me to shape. I don't need to create something new. I don't need to do a big rampage of destruction through my life. I need to reshape my beliefs. That will allow you to transform your life because your outside life represents what you are believing, acting in accordance with, and saying about yourself. So if you were saying, well, this is too difficult for me, try saying, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to allow myself to see how I can do X. But please be careful. Do not start chomping off these goals, choosing a goal that's at the top of the mountain while you're at the bottom, and then saying to yourself tomorrow, well, that didn't work. I knew it. I knew it wasn't going to work. It's not possible. So stop asking yourself to do the impossible. Instead, I'll give it a try. What can I do from where I am with what I have and who I am? So I can't say, I want to be a young male of 10. Not going to happen in this lifetime. So if those are my parameters for success, it's not likely. I can say, I'm good at X, Y, and Z. I'm going to use those skills to see what I can do about solving this situation, or not even solving it, beginning to see movement toward my goal.
It's like when you have someone, they go to the extreme, right? Like I'll give an example of like weight loss where they say that I'm going to lose 15 pounds and all of a sudden the only thing they eat once a day is a biscuit.
And then by
Right?
the end of the week, they're shaking, headachy. Oh, oh. And then they start having that, I knew I couldn't do it. Well, you're right. If you set unrealistic expectations, it is likely that you are going to continue in a pattern of failure. So please adjust your goals to be more loving, more kind, more accepting of where you are, and more easily met. It is not a sign of defeat if you choose a goal that is here instead of here. Get to this goal and celebrate. Be excited and delighted. Be so proud of yourself. That will give you momentum so that you will easily, if you do 10 of these little goals, you'll do this. So why not have fun along the way? And that is the other principle that is so important. How you feel is a big factor in determining your result. If you are feeling, I'm incapable, it is really hard for you to find the motivation, the intellectual capacity, the information, or whatever you might need in order to get to where you want to go. So choose things that feel good, that you do want to accomplish. If you don't want to lose those 15 pounds, don't. Give yourself a break. You don't need to look like you're um, in good in need of a good meal in order for you to be accepted by society. Be the weight that you are comfortable being, that feels healthy, vibrant, and good to you, and then see how you feel there. You may say, that feels good, but I'm ready to go a little further. I'm ready to honor myself with more healthy eating or more exercise or more ways. Keep honoring you instead of condemning yourself, criticizing yourself, obligating yourself to do things that you don't really want to do because somebody somewhere said you should.
I wonder how many people struggle with that. Because when I look at when we want to make a change, it takes enough courage just to acknowledge that we need to fix something, right? And then we want to make sure that we're accepting of the new version of ourselves. But many of us, and I think maybe at a point in my life I went through this, was will the people around me like the new version of me?
That's excellent.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? If they don't, they're not your people. If they are unable to love you as you are expanding and you feel good about your expansion, then these are people that you may have outgrown or you were never in alignment with. So do your growing for you knowing that the people that truly love you, that can truly support you, and that are really invested in seeing you be your optimal self will want to grow with you. And those that have a little something to say, it's okay to leave them behind.
That's so difficult to do. Like, how do you leave behind someone that you've known for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? I know it doesn't necessarily matter on the length of time, but let's say more so the quality versus the quantity, right? Like, if there's someone, for me, there was a number of people I had to leave behind, but I guess it was easier for me to do because by the time things were about to hit the fan, I made changes. But there was a group of people, very few, that when I look back, I didn't want to leave them behind, but I had to leave them behind because if I didn't, then it would have stunted my growth. And then I began to worry about it, right? I began to think, okay, this new version of terrain, is it a jerk? Is it someone that's full of themselves?
Mm.
Why does he think he could accomplish these things while maybe the people around him, he's not able to bring them along? And I look at survivor's guilt, for example, right? Like, when something tragic happens and you're one of the three people that survive and you feel bad for surviving. I wonder if many of us experience that when we succeed. I
You know,
succeeded and others didn't. Like, what are your thoughts?
that is brilliant. And here's the first thing we need to know. It is not our job to make other people's lives work in a way that would make us feel good. We are not responsible and cannot live their lives for them, but we can all be examples of what is possible. So we can't say, gosh, I'm choosing success, but they're choosing to stay there. Maybe I should stay there with them and believe that that will ever make us happy or will ever help them in some way. We are not supporting them and we are not supporting ourselves. You are just saying, okay, let's all just fail together. What you are doing when you say, I'm ready to take the next step. I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to step into my fullness. You are opening the door for yourself, and you're going to be doing the heavy lifting because the one that goes first is always taxed with a lot more responsibility. And then you can leave the door open for them and say, hey, look, everyone, I made it through the door. I invite you to come with me. It will be up to them to decide, yeah, I'm ready to let go of some of these things that are holding me back. Or, hey, you know what? I'm really comfortable where I am. There's no right answer. Sometimes we need